Headphones are often described as audio devices, but that description misses what they actually changed. They did not simply improve sound, they redefined who sound is for. For most of human history, sound was inseparable from space. Voices, tools, animals, and music all radiated outward. If you were close enough, you heard it. If you were not, you didn't. Listening was passive and shared. You could not easily opt out without physically removing yourself. Early mechanical music followed the same rule. Phonographs, gramophones, and later radios were furniture. They faced the room. Sound was projected outward because that was how sound had always worked. Music was something you gathered around. This created a social expectation. If sound was present, it was for everyone nearby. Silence, likewise, belonged to no one in particular. It was simply what happened when nothing was producing noise. As technology advanced, this assumption began to strain. Cities grew louder. Work became more specialized. Tasks requiring focus began to coexist with constant background noise. Meanwhile, recorded sound became more personal. People wanted to hear specific things, not whatever happened to be playing in the room. The first headphones were not built for leisure. They were tools. Telephone operators used single ear pieces so they could listen while still engaging with their surroundings. Early radio operators used bulky headsets to isolate weak signals from static. These devices were heavy, uncomfortable, and unapologetically utilitarian. Comfort was secondary. Clarity mattered more. But the idea they introduced was radical. Sound could be targeted. Instead of filling space, audio could be delivered directly to one person, bypassing the room entirely. This solved a technical problem, signal clarity, but it also solved a human one. It allowed listening without broadcasting. As recorded music spread, this possibility became desirable rather than merely functional. People wanted to hear without being heard. They wanted to choose sound without negotiating it. The modern headphone form emerged from that desire, shaped by constraints that were less about audio engineering and more about bodies and behavior. Sound must reach the ear at a precise angle and distance. Too close, and it becomes harsh. Too far, and it loses presence. The ear itself is asymmetrical and fragile. Headphones could not press directly against it without discomfort, so they learned to hover. Padding emerged not as luxury, but as interface, creating a seal that improves sound while reducing pressure. The headband solved a different problem: stability without attention. A device that constantly reminds you it exists fails its purpose. The band must apply enough force to keep the speakers in place during movement, but not so much that the wearer becomes aware of it minute by minute. This is why good headphones disappear after a few minutes, while bad ones never do. Even the choice between over-ear, on-ear, and in-ear designs reflects trade-offs between isolation, comfort, portability, and social signaling. Over-ear headphones create a cocoon. In-ear designs prioritize discretion and mobility. Neither is objectively better. Each assumes a different relationship between the listener and the world. And that relationship is the real subject of headphone design. Headphones do not merely deliver sound inward, they project a signal outward. Do not interrupt. This signal matters. Wearing headphones in public is a social act. It creates a boundary without confrontation. It allows withdrawal without explanation. The object becomes a visible marker of unavailability. This is why people wear headphones even when nothing is playing. The sound is optional. The boundary is not. Designers could not ignore this behavior. Headphones had to look intentional when worn. Too small, and the signal disappears. Too large, and it becomes performative. The balance between presence and subtlety shaped their scale as much as acoustics did. The arrival of portable music players intensified this role. When sound became mobile, headphones became constant companions. Walking, commuting, exercising, activities once accompanied by ambient noise were now curated. People did not just listen, they scored their lives. This introduced new constraints. Headphones had to survive movement, sweat, and repetition. They had to fold, twist, and compress without breaking. They had to be donned and removed dozens of times a day. Cables had to be long enough to allow movement, but short enough to avoid entanglement. Every annoyance became magnified through repetition. Wireless headphones removed one problem and introduced another. Freedom from cables increased convenience, but dependence on batteries and connectivity created new friction. Designers compensated by making cases that communicate charge visually. by shaping earbuds that can be inserted without mirrors, by adding subtle taps and gestures that could be learned by muscle memory. Throughout all these changes, one principle remains stable. Headphones must never demand attention during use. The moment you think about them, they have failed. This is why sound quality alone never defines success. Technically superior headphones that are uncomfortable, conspicuous, or socially awkward are abandoned. Adequate sound delivered effortlessly is preferred over excellence that requires effort. This leads to the deeper truth about why headphones look the way they do. They are not optimized for sound. They are optimized for permission. Permission to disengage, permission to focus, permission to occupy public space privately. They allow people to be present physically while absent mentally, without apology. The aha moment comes when you realize that headphones are not primarily listening devices. They are boundary devices. They sit at the edge of the body, not just the ear. They mediate between the self and the environment. They let people decide when sound, and by extension interaction, gets in. This explains why the form has remained stable even as technology changed dramatically. Speakers improved, compression improved, connectivity improved. But the basic shape, the way headphones claim the head, encircle or enter the ear and signal withdrawal, persisted. Invisible design works when it aligns with behavior so well that it becomes an extension of intent. Headphones do not ask you why you want to withdraw. They do not judge whether focus is necessary. They simply make it possible. And once an object gives people that kind of control, its form stops evolving quickly. It becomes obvious.